Senator for Alaska.
Mr. President, I call up my amendment number 83 and ask that it be reported by number.
The clerk will report.
The senator from Alaska, Mr. Sullivan, proposes an amendment numbered 83.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that there be 4 minutes of debate equally divided.
Without objection.
Mr. President, every job in America is important, but there's something special, sacred, even noble about a job that entails putting your life on the line to keep your fellow citizens safe. And that is the job of our firefighters. In Alaska, firefighting season will be upon us soon. It can be brutal. In 2005, roughly 6 million acres of the state burned. That's about the size of Vermont. Think about the dedication and courage it takes to fight those fires, many of which are in rural parts of our states. It is only right that when firefighters come to Congress asking for assistance, that we give them the flexibility they truly need. So why is my amendment necessary? Currently, the assistance to firefighters grants only allows modification to existing fire stations rather than new facilities. Many old firefighting facilities can't be modified. A 2021 report by the U.S. Fire Service found that 44% of fire stations are over 40 years old. The issue is even more acute in rural parts of our country where facilities have problems which cannot be fixed through maintenance and repair alone. For example, roughly 61% of fire stations over 40 years old exist in communities serving less than 10,000 people. So, Mr. President, my amendment is simple. It costs $0. It gives discretion to the firefighters in rural communities to allow federal grants to small communities of less than 10,000 people to use the federal funds to build new stations. That's it. A simple, common sense amendment backed by data to help firefighters in small communities in America who often don't have the tax base to build new facilities. We should help them. We all have rural communities that need this help. I urge my colleagues to support this common sense amendment.
Mr. President.
Senator from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I have to also lend my voice in congratulations to Senator Patty Murray. We are so proud of her, look to her for her leadership. It's an honor to serve with her in the leadership in the Senate, but she's just an extraordinary member, and 10,000 votes. That's a lot of votes, and we should all be continue to be very grateful for her leadership. So congratulations. Mr. President, this amendment is one that, in spirit, I mean, I agree with the need. Senator Sullivan and I have talked about the fact that I think he identifies something that is very important for small rural communities. It is, however, duplicative of work we already do through rural development in USDA. The USDA has a communities facilities programs. They provide grants and loan guarantees for essential community services in rural areas of 20,000 residents or less, including public safety. Communities have used this for fire trucks, fire department construction, fire equipment Senator Sullivan has talked eloquently about. Last year, it was nearly $100 million in assistance to rural fire departments. So I told Senator Sullivan we will have in the next number of months the Farm Bill reauthorization on the floor. Want to work very much with him on how we might be able to more focus or strengthen this program that already exists. The Farm Bill is coming up. I believe that's the place for us to address what is a very important issue. So I would urge my colleagues to channel their support to rural first responders into supporting this particular program in the upcoming Farm Bill reauthorization. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Consent to speak for 1 minute on the amendment.
Is there objection? Hearing none, the senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate my colleague from Alaska's support and co-sponsorship of the Fire Grants and Safety Act before us. And I also appreciate and fully agree with his amendment to help smaller communities build new facilities. But I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment because of the unintended consequences it would have. The Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program historically receives applications for 5 times the amount of funding that's available. In 2020, there were $2 billion in requests for only $300 million available in funding. This program is massively oversubscribed, and that's why all of the major firefighting services in this country oppose this amendment. That includes the International Association of Fire Chiefs, the International Association of Firefighters, the National Volunteer Fire Council, the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. All are calling for clean passage of the Fire Grants and Safety Act without amendment. I know my colleagues share the goal. The good senator from Alaska, I do as well, but I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment, join with our firefighters all around the country. Let's send a clean firefighting bill to the House.
Mr. President,
Senator from Alaska,
I
does
ask
the
unanimous
senator...
consent for 30 seconds to respond.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, again, I want to work with Senator Stabenow on this issue, but we have an opportunity right now. Every senator knows that our firefighters from small communities come to the Senate and ask for help because they don't have the tax base to actually build new facilities, and their facilities, as I mentioned, are very, very old. All this amendment does is add a new category to requests for assistance only from communities of 10,000 people or less. It's common sense. We all know it's needed. Again, I encourage my colleagues to support it. I respect all the firefighter groups who are saying they're opposed it, but the only reason they're opposing it is because they say they want a clean bill. Well, you know what? Sorry, that's not a very good argument. I urge the support of this amendment, number 83.